Mic check, mic check. Yes. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Morning. Welcome, one and all. I hope we have had our tea for today, as this is one of those early classes. All right.
Sir,
Yes,
good
what's up?
morning. Good morning. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from signing up in Revit, what was the other thing that we had to do?
You need SketchUp,
Okay. Uh,
right?
aside from that,
If um, that's it. We're
okay,
gonna
okay.
be we're gonna be primarily in BIM for the whole time. So that's gonna be the main programs that you will need. Right. If you don't have SketchUp, you can kind of use the browser version. It's just gonna be a little different from what I show on screen. Yeah, Gavin.
Sir, I wasn't here for the whole class last week, but
Hmm.
somebody told me that we're going to do like some collaborative thing on Revit and we need 2024.
Yeah, but not
So,
for this class. Ultimately, we will need that.
but I wanted to ask, seeing that I have 2025 and it's cracked, would it affect the cracked version if I get the student version?
I actually
Because
asked.
that was the dilemma.
Yeah, I actually asked Mr. Campbell to test it out for me because I know some of us have a downloaded version.
Sorry, sir.
Um, yeah, Christian? Mhm.
I actually had it that way because I had the cat version, and then for work I had to install the license, and it doesn't affect anything. It just continue as normal as you like all your projects you had before. It just stay there normally. So now you have a license.
Uh,
So
all
it
right, good,
doesn't bring any issue at all.
good, good, good. All right. Well, thanks for answering that. All right. So today, let's see what's on the schedule for today. Ta-ta-da. All right. All right. Okay, guys, as usual, um, we know the drill. Where do you want to start? Let's try this again. Right. As usual, we use this timeline as our guiding light. So, yes, you guys are going away. When are you guys going away? Um, Friday. Am I right?
No, Thursday.
Thursday, right, right, right. It's Thursday. Okay, I need to update that. Okay, right. So this will be we'll have a practical class and a lecture class today before you go. Yeah, for the practical class, we're going to look on the project phases. Because remember, the focus of this module is we are going to be concentrating on architectural production um in a firm. And I want to say in a firm that is using a BIM workflow. Right. That's using a BIM workflow. So the main idea is what I want to do for you guys is when you guys go into um and a professional environment, somewhere that uses Revit already, you guys will be able to understand, okay, what's the typical process that happens when we're producing drawings for a building? Do we just open up Revit and we just start drawing lines? How will the architect give me the building that will be drawn? Will I be helping with the design? Probably not. But what information will I use to produce these drawings? Is he just gonna tell me, hey, Elandra, I have this idea for this facade. I'm gonna explain it to you and you just draw it up for me in BIM. Is it like that? Or does the architect give you sketches, for you to create the drawings from? What do you do with these sketches? So what I'm trying to do is kind of reveal, I think, a typical workflow, because what you will find is that every office is a little different. And when you guys go on to start your own practice or your own team, you're going to come up with workflows that are also different. So what we're going to do is a kind of middle of the road assumption on this workflow. So I have some stuff over on the mirror board that I want to show you guys. So if you head over to the website and head on the mirror board, if you want your own experience, I'm going to just bring it up here as well. Right. If hopefully it's not too blurry for you. Can you guys make out the text? You see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit today about the process of creating, of producing drawings. Then we're going to do a little class activity, and then we're going to jump into the first part of our journey on this major project path, right? We are going to be using SketchUp for today. We may not get to Revit today, but that's okay. So I want to show you these 4 boxes, right? Hopefully you guys can see it okay, right? And this is what we're going to be coming back to, these boxes throughout the entire semester, right? Now, these are the typical stages of, I would say, a architectural business on a whole. And you guys have a whole module called Office Practice that you're going to learn about the business aspects of architecture, like how a firm operates. But that is tied directly, right? That is tied directly into the production, into the technical, right? So on one side, you're running a business and you're saying, okay, I need to collect a deposit, or I need a down payment or a final payment and invoices and all of this stuff. That is tied directly in the technical side. All right, I'm doing sketches, I'm doing drawings, I'm producing construction drawings. Those two are linked together, but we're going to focus mainly on the technical side, on the production side. How does a project get from idea to construction drawings? And that is a journey that we're going to take ourselves, right? So everything starts in what we call the pre-design, preliminary design. Some people call it conceptual design, right? So remember, we are, architectural firms exist all over the world. So people have different names for different things, but generally, these are usually the phases. So the pre-design is like what you do at the beginning of your design studio class. You come up with concept and precedents. Maybe you do some massing models, some sketching, that kind of stuff. Um, then you go to schematic design, where you start to resolve sizes, right? Then you go to design development, which is, think of it as a final confirmation of the design. The room will be 10 by 20, right? And then you start to, you start to work out some other systems and structure and all of that stuff. What are the sizes of the columns? What do you think they will be? That kind of stuff. And then over to construction drawings, right? We normally call it working drawings. Some persons call it architectural documentation. Some call it construction documentation. Whatever the name is, this part has to do with the legal aspects of getting your drawings authorized to be built. And this is also the drawings that the contractor, the people operating the crane and digging the trenches, these are the drawings that they use. So those drawings has to have all the little details on it, everything from the size of the steel to the width of the windows, right? And that, in a nutshell, is kind of our journey, right? Now, chances are, when let's say what usually happens, I was lucky enough to get an offer for a job in my design studio final year critique, right? So don't ignore those critique, guys. And you see that exhibition that they have at the end of the year? Yeah, let's just call that a career day for architecture, right? Because most places that have an opening, or maybe they have a project and they need some new hires, that is where they will be looking around. So as a direct beneficiary of that, I can tell you that, yes, it's real. Anyway, so, when I went into the office, I was totally lost. I'm like, okay, so I know how to do 3D stuff. I know at the time we didn't have Revit, so I know how to do, we had AutoCAD architecture, right? Which was a step up from regular AutoCAD. AutoCAD is just 2D drawings. AutoCAD architecture is kind of like a mini Revit. You use wall tool and window tool and that stuff, but it wasn't as sophisticated as Revit. So yeah, I know how to do that, but I was totally lost to, so there's a project that the principal is working on. So, how does that process work in terms of me doing drawings? You know what I mean? And yes, I did do office practice, which kind of focused more on the business side of architecture. And the thing is, one of the important thing about this module is, chances are you guys won't be focusing on the business aspect of architecture that much. You'll probably be focusing on the production side. You'll probably be doing drawings, editing drawings. You'll be interacting with the production part of architecture. So, that's one of the areas that we want to focus on. And what we're going to do is, we are going to form a firm. So probably 50 out of you, that would be a very large firm, maybe the largest in Jamaica. So we are going to form a firm. I'll be the principal architect, and you guys are going to be new hires, right? What do you think, Joel? You ready for your first job? Would this be your first job, Joel?
Yes, sir, I would.
All right. And it will also be the first job that you will get grades instead of money. Because that's all I can offer you at this time. But knowing your stuff does translate to money. I know I remember having numerous conversations with different principals of different firms, and a lot of them say, boy, when the students come, they know the buttons to click when they're in Revit, but they don't really know how to produce drawings in Revit. They can create this model, but like I need floor plan, elevation, section. You know, I also need a model for stuff, but I need those stuff too. So that's what we did last semester. We created a model. This semester, we're going to create a BIM model from which we do drawings from. And we're going to connect that to the stages in architecture, right? Now, we are going to be tackling a project together, right? We're going to do a pavilion project, right? I'm going to be a really a mentor-oriented principal architect and involve you in the design process, right? Which doesn't happen often, as you can imagine, right? I remember in the first couple months of me working at my first firm, which was Clifton Yap Architects, which is still around. He's still around and doing stuff. And one or two times he would call me in the office and say, Brian, what do you think of this facade? You know, because I'm wondering if the roof is, if the window is too large or whatever, just to get an opinion. And I'm like, ooh, wow, at least I get a little bit of input. For our firm, I'm going to be asking you guys for way more input, right? Because as I said, I'm going to be more to design development and construction drawings, right? You guys are going to come along with the journey. So I want to talk a little bit about the pre-design phase. Chances are when you guys are in get your first job, maybe you won't be involved a lot in this phase. This phase has to do with, so for example, diagramming, massing, sketching. Yes? No? All right, you're coming.
You tripped out for a second.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. So bubble diagrams. We are familiar with bubble diagrams. Massing models, conceptual massing models. Though in a firm, things are a bit more, I would say, down to earth. So maybe you don't have a lot of abstraction. You have more, what I would say, pragmatic elements. One sec. What happened? Yeah, man. So pragmatic elements, it won't be a floating building on the ocean or some kind of edgy design. Chances are it will be something more down to earth, but it's still going to use the same basic process of what you guys do in design studio. So I hope you guys have some sketch paper, right? So what I have here is an idea. So let's say that, I'm the principal of this firm and I'm saying, hey, I got a new project. We're going to do a pavilion slash exhibition. Small building, not big. And, let's say that I put this bubble diagram together because this is the layout of how I would want my building to be, right? And then I call Okiri into my office. Okiri.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I call you into my office and I say, all right, Okiri, I have this idea. This is the layout that I want it to be. And I did 2 sketches. This is kind of what I want it to be like. There's still a lot of unanswered questions, but it is a rough sketch of what I want it to be like. And this is the site, and this is how I want it to fit on the site. So this is just some quick sketches that I did. So I have bubble diagram and 2 sketches. Now, when you guys are in design studio, chances are your lecturers might ask you for more massive model, design statement, stuff like that. But in the production line in our office, that stuff usually happens privately or with senior persons in a firm. So you may or may not be invited, but probably at a later part of the pre-design phase as a junior in the firm. Speaking of junior in the firm, while we're at the pre-design phase, let's talk a little bit about positions. So for example, Leonardo, are you here? Of course you're here, man. You're just trying to find the unmute button, right, Leonardo?
Sir, well, yes, sir. I was connecting my mic.
All right. So, question, Leonardo. When you go into your first job, right? What kind of position do you think you will be at? What kind of positions do you think exist in an architectural firm? Just like how you go to a corporate business and you have managers, supervisors, and so forth, CEOs and that kind of stuff. What do you think? What position you leave CSA? What, 2 years time? You're almost out. No, 1 year time.
I feel like, bottom level, probably like an intern, but otherwise, like actual job title, probably an architectural assistant or draftsman.
Okay,
drafter,
cool.
something like that.
Cool. Gavin, I see you have your hands up.
Sir, it'll be an associate. Almost.
An associate? Wow. Okay. Well, associate is like pretty much at the top of a firm, right?
Oh, I thought partner was at the top, like senior partner. All right.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I asked some persons here, because the names aren't as clear per se. One thing that is clear is that, okay, the word architect. Though I think locally we're a bit obsessed with the word architect, So for example, whenever we go into a firm, I think there is some legal requirement that you cannot use the word architect until you're registered or something like that. But less than the persons who graduate from an architecture school actually become registered architects, but they're still working. You know what I mean? Anyway, the main point of this is I want to relate this to production and what you usually do at different levels. I don't want to give the levels names necessarily because they are different in different regions. And even locally, we don't really have official names apart from architect. So let's look at the different levels. So I would say that you will have, let's call this level one. And level one is usually referred to some kind of intern, right? And usually an intern can be somebody who comes out of the bachelor's or even a master's. Intern just means you are new to the system. Because even if you have a PhD and you're working in a particular firm, chances are you will be some kind of intern or some kind of probationary step. And the main reason for that is for you to learn the workflow. And this is why we're learning a workflow here, because what happens is we're doing a middle of the road workflow. But when you go into a firm, they will have their own kind of workflow. Maybe they work with models more, or maybe they do half their production by hand. I don't know what it will be. But that time period is for you to get used to the workflow. Right? Now, usually at stage 2 is almost like you become a regular team member. And this is where the name gets different in different areas. So I'm going to say team member. And some places they call that a junior architect, right? Some places it's junior architect. Some places it's architectural assistant. Some places it's architectural designer. So you get what I'm saying, guys? There are many different names for it, but I put this at level 2. So level 2 is when you know the workflow and you can help to produce work. Question?
Hold on.
What's that, Tariq? Are you unmute by accident?
Accident.
Okay. Right. So now at level 3, I'm gonna put some little. Let me use a different color here. Right. So I'm gonna say at this level, you are competent at the workflow. No, let me shorten that. I would say that all right, at the workflow of the workflow. Right, let's put it like that. We're learning the workflow. Right? And you are usually now a part of projects. Now, at the level 3, you are usually at managing production. So when you say managing production, and what do people call this now? I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna say you are a supervisor. Supervisor? Yeah, I think I would say supervisor. I'm gonna put this maybe in blue. Right. So what that means is that, and there are names for this. Some people call this job captain. Some people call this supervisor. But not project manager. Some people say workflow supervisor, production supervisor, that's another one. Drawing, production supervisor, right? And then there's a level 4, and this one is what you call the project. Now I'm going to say manager. And oh, this is description of what you do. So this is manage projects. And this one is managing production. And this is step 4. All right. So, Swaby, what do you think is the difference between managing production and managing projects? Swaby here? I see Gavin hand up already. Yeah, man. Double participation for Gavin, don't it? I come into you, Gavin. Where's Swaby? Oh, let me check my chat just in case people are talking to me. Is anybody talking to me? I don't see nobody talking to me at all. All right, while Swaby finds the microphone. I don't hear from who I don't hear from? Joshua yet. Joshua. Are you hearing Joshua?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what do you think is the difference between the production what did I say? The production the production manager and a project manager. What do you think they do differently? We're talking about drawing production here in an architectural firm.
I would guess managing production would be like the supervision of the workflow for a particular project, while managing projects is the role that someone would take up to be like more of an overseer rather than like more like a delegate of sorts, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. I will give you a 80% for that answer. All right. Yeah, so pretty much what it is here is at step 1, you're learning how to shovel the dirt. In step 2, you are shoveling the dirt. In step 3, you know how to shovel the dirt, so you oversee other people shoveling the dirt. And at step 4, you are pretty much dealing with clients. So you're not necessarily shoveling the dirt, though most firms require that you always shovel dirt, no matter what level you're at. Everybody has to draw. That's usually the rule. Most firms are not like huge. So, you know, everybody has to do the drawing. But the main difference with managing projects is that you are now interfacing with, I would say, customers. Right, you're interfacing with customers. And most places call this a project manager. Some places would call it what else? What else would they call it? Oh, Gavin, I didn't see your hand. I didn't remember your hand. What were you saying?
No, the question I was asking.
Oh, go ahead.
For the firms that work with like lot of consultants, including maybe engineers and surveyors and all that. Would the tree be different or the chain of command be different?
Well, firstly, all firms have to consult with an engineer.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
yeah, I
But
get that, but the ones that were directly in the firm.
right, that's a good question. And this is why I tell you, every firm is a little different. So they might set up their thing a little different because for an engineer, they have, I would suspect that they have different levels, right? So if you were a engineer coming out of school and you work in an architectural firm that also hires engineer, I would imagine that it would take maybe the same kind of flow, maybe, because this is really just giving an idea of the levels of your responsibility as it relates to production. So at some point, even an engineer would have to fall into this category. If somebody is already seasoned, they already know the ropes already, then maybe they wouldn't start as an intern. Who knows? You know, maybe they would be a supervisor, right? Or maybe they would be a project manager, right? I'm going to say it should be project manager. Right. Oh, I turned these the wrong way. This should be here. No, actually no, this should be here. Right. And the main thing is that as a project manager, you're reading emails as much as you're drawing, literally, right? Because you're talking directly with the clients, usually with the consultants, right? So some firms, to also add to your question, Gavin, they're an engineering firm different, like it even operates almost as a different company within that company. And you have some that, as I say, most I think don't necessarily hire engineers directly, then we'll just work with them. And then of course at the top level, you will have the principal or partners. So I will say principal, right? And the principal basically, well, you know, runs the firm, but we're talking about production here. So usually the principal designs the buildings. And different places would call the principal, I don't know. Some people call them president, some call them owner, some call them president. They don't usually take on the role of CEO and CTO and those kind of things. So in the blue is what we are concentrating on. So we can see that, okay, so the principal designed the building, right? Then hand it off to the project manager. The project manager talk with the client, you know, and maybe only if the client is upset or I don't know, something that requires damage control, then it might go back to the principal. But pretty much the project manager will speak to the client. Now, you guys that are a member of our firm here in BIM, let's call it BIM Studio, you guys are going to be team members or supervisors, or could be junior architects or job captains or drawing supervisors or architectural assistant, like whatever name you want to give it. You guys are going to be a mixture of step 2 and step 3, right? Some firms, all of this is wrapped up in one person. A lot of us going out here, like I know a lot of persons that were in my year And how they got started, they did everything here, everything in blue they do. They talk to the client, they manage the project, them supervise it, them do the drawings, them do everything, which is kind of difficult, right? Architecture is usually one of those roles where you usually work with people, and I'm not even talking about our engineers or civil yet. I'm just saying, you know, okay, you might get an opportunity to do a building, you know, maybe it's a family member or, you know, or a friend or I don't know, and you might choose to partner, you know, with a friend, usually probably from CSA, to say, hey, I have this drawing to do, and you know, because I don't normally do it or I don't have as much experience or whatever, you partner with somebody else who can also draw. So it's that kind of job, right? So in terms of the design, I will be doing the design, right? And we're not going to worry about the project manager. You have some firms are so small that the architect is the project manager. So that's going to be our firm, right? Now we don't have to worry about the client. The client is fictional. The point is, I'm going to be doing the design. And you guys, who are members of the team, and some of you are supervisors, are going to be helping me to produce this drawing. Okay, so any questions about these levels? Everybody kind of clear about this? Right? What you said? Shade, you following? Oh, I'm not hearing you. I see that you're unmute and talk. Oh, yes, Addison, I see your message. All right, so with that said, guys, in talking about these architectural phases and looking at pre-design, for our pre-design, remember all this information is on the mirror board, guys, so please, you can browse around. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes. Is what, 10? We started at 9. Yeah, we're doing good on time. And I have come to you guys as members of my team and I say, hey, I have this idea. This is a bubble diagram of how I want the building to flow. And this is a massing sketch of how I want the building to look. And I say to you guys, sketch me out a floor plan based on this bubble diagram and this sketch. And do that for me in 15 minutes. Right? Right, guys? So I want you to do that for me. Use pencil, pen, whatever. Please don't go into Rivet. I mean, you know what? I'm not going to restrict you, but this is an exercise that should take 15 minutes. So what I want you guys to do is, I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to stick this over here under class activities. We're going to lock this here, lock this here. There you go. And what I want you guys to do is sketch me out a floor plan. Oh, let me also put these sketches over here as well. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this on one page. Oops. There you go. All right, cool. All right, so what I want you guys to do is, based on this, I want you to sketch me out a floor plan. Take a picture, put it on the mirror board based on this. And this is at the preliminary stage of our design. Now, in an architectural office, the principal might ask you to do that. As I said, just like with my experience, often, well, not often, I would say 20% of the time, the principal just wanted to pick my brain, Mr. Yap just wanted to pick my brain, and he was like, Brian, what do you think of this elevation here? And I would give my, but that's as far as it goes. I'm taking it a bit further with you guys and saying, hey, I've done this bubble diagram and I have this concept sketch. Don't give me a floor plan, upper and lower floor plan that could represent this as a layout. All right. Cooper, you understanding the request? All right. So I want you guys to just take 15 minutes, do that for me. Just snap a picture of it with your phone and drop it on the mirror board, right?
Floor plan of what exactly?
Say again?
Floor plan of what exactly?
A floor plan that would represent this bubble diagram.
Like
So
any random house or?
no, this is the exhibition pavilion, right? I have done a bubble diagram and I have done a concept sketch. And I'm saying, give me a floor plan that would flow like this bubble diagram. And the shape of the floor plan is roughly the shape of this sketch, which is pretty much a box. It's literally just a box. Literally. Because in my sketch here, I have like an outdoor pavilion area with a big box. So pretty much, I want you to give me a floor plan that would fit, inside this box, but the flow of the floor plan should flow just like the bubble diagram. You following me? You understand?
So it should fit in your site plan, basically.
Yeah, but loosely, because remember we are in the pre-design phase. So for example, you wouldn't give me a floor plan that looks like that, because that doesn't look like that. You understand? My floor plan is a big box, and I'm saying, hey, fit this in this big box as a floor plan. Don't worry about measurements, dimensions. You just sketch it, right? There are some things. So for example, you can see that like these are probably much smaller rooms. I don't have any square footages on it. This is just a design exercise, but it is a part of the preliminary phase of doing drawing production. So I want you guys to just use a couple minutes and just whip that up for me. Just a quick sketch. Some people call it a chicken scratch sketch, a handkerchief sketch. Just take out a blank paper, your sketchbook, look at the bubble diagram, and just fit these rooms in this square. Let me just put a little thing here for people who might be just coming in. Use it. Right, so I'm gonna say, make this bigger. Use Maybe could have wrote that a little better, but you guys understand what I mean. So you're gonna use the bubble diagram and concept sketch. I'm going to say as a precedent, right? To create, yeah, I think that is it. So use the bubble diagram and the concept sketch as a precedent to create a preliminary sketched floor plan. I want to use the word sketched floor plan that represents the ideas presented. All right. All right, guys, I'll give you a couple minutes. You can just stick that on the mirror board. For me, please. Put this over here. Let's put a title here. I'm going to call this Production Structure of Typical. Right, typical architectural firm production. So all you need to do is to post, you just put a picture of, oh, hold on, let me unlock this thing here. Right. So all you need to do is post a picture of your sketch and just put your name and ID, right? Just stick it anywhere in the class activities section. Let me give you a template so that, you know, so it must be pretty small. Where is it? Ratio, letter, yeah. So you want to put your name. Ryan Williams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's make it about so big. And right. And you just drop your sketch right there. Oh, well, sketch of your floor plan, not sketch of your building. Let me get this. Just drop a quick example for you guys. You're basically giving me something like this. You don't even have to give me double walls. Notice that this is the single walls. You don't even have to put in furniture. You can just put the rooms. That's all I need. I just need an idea of the rooms. But look at the bubble diagram and you come up with an idea. Now, this is something that even may happen. Like you could maybe be a part of a small firm, or maybe it's somebody who is just starting out and they ask you, hey, can you come on my team? You know? And they come to you and they say, hey, I have this idea from the client. I know you are doing the drawings, but and let me tell you guys, this is one of the reasons why in CSA, why it's not just about teaching to press the buttons and to draw a floor plan and to do a roof section and stuff like that. Because the idea is you may start out, go back to my diagram here, you may start out, you know, in the production doing drawings mainly, which is usually where we start. But for you to move up in the industry and go from producing drawings to creating your own designs, you would have need to be trained on how do you approach a design. And that's what you guys are doing for almost 4 years now in Design Studio. My job is to make sure that you also know how to produce drawings, because that is important. So you have to do both, because your growth journey will transition you from just doing production to maybe end up you're only doing designs. Right? Most of you probably already realize that most senior persons in firm don't even use AutoCAD or Revit. Right? So, all right. So I'll give you a couple more minutes, guys. And then we will move to the next thing. right, guys. I see some people doing some sketches. All right, cool, cool, cool. Nice. But one person? I mean, if I was a principal, I would say, hey, generally, can you do this sketch for me in half an hour?
Sir, I'm trying.
All right, guys, I'm gonna give you a little more time then for you to pencil it out. Because here's the idea, guys. I do the preliminary design. I say, help me with the preliminary design. Then I'm gonna do the schematic drawings. And then you guys are gonna do the design drawing, right? So that is how we're gonna be working together through these phases. Some of them you're gonna do, and some of them I'm gonna do, right? All right, let me give you a little bit more time, but not much more time. As I say, guys, usually maybe I will talk for the first hour or so, but then after that it's really just action. So all right, give you a little bit more time. All right, guys. All right. I see some of you have done some ideas. All right. So we're gonna have to move on now, guys. So of course, what you're going to do is finish up, drop it on the board, and it will form a part of class participation, right, guys? So thank you for participating. All right. For our mission for today, we'll be using SketchUp. All right. So we are gonna dive into a next task that I want you to do. So some of you have created a floor plan from the bubble diagram. I want you guys, as I said, you can finish that a little later. We have to move on. Now, the next thing we want to do is a conceptual massing. And this is the important part, guys. This is a hand-drawn sketch, right? For it to be useful to us for the rest of, to begin the production process, we need to digitize this. Lisa, are you here, Lisa?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember once upon a time in DDM? We did
Yes,
a little
sir.
we did a little exercise where you guys had to convert a sketch into a 3D model.
Yes, sir. I think so.
All right. So hopefully you're not too rusty with that, right?
Hopefully. Hopefully.
And the idea, guys, is that this whole thing of turning a sketch into a 3D model is super important, because if you look at this sketch here, you know, it's an early kind of sketch. There's a, what's happening. Is this 2 stories or 1 story? It looks like 2 stories. You probably need some kind of steps here. What's happening at the back of this area here? Like, when we convert a sketch into a massing object, we can now further explore that object, right? And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using SketchUp to turn this sketch into a massing model, and then we are going to evaluate climatic condition, like, okay, how does the sun affect? Remember, it's an exhibition pavilion. So the idea is, as you can see from the bubble diagram, this is the main room of this building. And you can see that it's going to be on the upper level. So this big box here is going to be the exhibition. How does the natural light play a part of this exhibition? Like, I would love to put some large windows or doors here. How will that play a part in my design going down the road? And this is why we do solar studies, to have an idea of how does the sun act on this building. Right now, I'm positioning the building like this, right? But suppose I really needed to position it like this, based on how the sun will act on this building. So this is a kind of a exploration of your model. Now, we can explore a sketch, and this is one of the important reasons why we have to convert this sketch into a 3D object, because we can do much more with the 3D object. So first step, we're going to be using SketchUp, and we're going to convert this sketch into a 3D object, which is very simple. I mean, it's pretty much just boxes, and that is going to be our mission for today's class, right? We deal with the bubble, with the initial sketch, and we deal with a 3D massing. And me, as the principal of this firm, that is a task that I would give you at the level of whether team member or supervisor, right? So you're actually now playing a part in shaping the design. So yes, I created the initial design idea, but I'm asking you to help me in this prelim phase. And I can tell you that it's usually a good sign if the principal asks you to do that, right? All right, so I want everybody to fire up SketchUp. Remember, if you don't have the SketchUp program, you can just go to Google and type SketchUp web app, and it will be the first thing that pops up on the screen, and you just click it. It's going to ask you to sign in. You can just use your Google account. Sign in. Ta-da. And that's it. Now you can use SketchUp in the browser. Now I'm going to be using the local version of SketchUp. So as usual, you guys can follow along. If I leave you behind, we can check the recording, right? I'm going to be right here going through the process. So if you have any questions, just let me know. And, we'll try and go through as quickly as possible. I think we'll be out of here before the ending of the class. So even if you have to leave, as usual, you know where to find the class material. So you just have to go there to find the recording. Okay, well, this thing don't want to continue. Anyway, all right. So that's all you have to do if you want to use the web version. I am going to be using the local version. Come on. Which is it's opening. Oh, okay. I see the message about those who are here but on study tour. No problem. As usual, this module is online. So you have the ability, they will have the ability to watch this class and follow along. All right. So, where is it? All right, guys. Okay, where's the crash? All right, guys. So everybody has fired up SketchUp. Shy, you have your SketchUp ready?
Not yet, sir.
All right, it sounds like you're getting there, but you're quite reach yet. All right, good old SketchUp. All right, just giving everybody a little while to switch over to SketchUp. All right, so this is our last activity for the day. Remember, even if you don't quite finish, no worries. You can watch the class recording after.
Welcome.
All right. You ready, guys? Ready? Oh, of course. Needs to update. All right, guys. Everybody should be ready now.
You might have concept sketches. So we have two concept sketches here, view A and view B. And this is view A. So this gives us an idea of, what is in the designer's head as they, imagine what this space feels like.
Okay, guys. The other thing, I want to give you a link. So we have the sketches here. I don't think you guys can download the sketch. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a link where you can actually download the sketch, as in the actual sketch image. I'm going to put it on the mirror board, as you might, just in case some of us might want to have the sketch as a standalone image. Question, can you guys download it from the mirror board? When you right click it, do you get the option to download? Can anybody confirm that for me? Anybody? Yes, no?
Repeat that, sir.
Wait.
No, so far no.
Oh, you don't get the option to download. All right, cool. No problem.
Yes, sir.
So to make life a little easier for you, redesign. Where are these sketches? Okay, here we go.
I think if they read from this one that you're on, that you'll be able to download.
Okay. Yeah, the computer just taking a little while for me to share it. You know, one second. Oh wow, I already had it. All right. All right, guys. So the link for this one is gonna be that. The link. There we go. I'm gonna say link to download sketch. I'm going to give you another sketch that I did for you guys. So there's going to be two sketches, sketch A and sketch B. This one that's here. So this will show you where A and B is. Next one incoming. This one is the link for A. And this is the link for B. There we go. All right, so give me a second there. Let me slot these. All right, there you go. So just in case you want to have it bigger on your screen or whatever, the sketches are there. All right.
So, so we have to use your sketch to do it in SketchUp.
Right, correct. Because you'd use my sketch as a guide, and you would have to use SketchUp. Yes. Remember, our objective here is we want to convert this hand-drawn sketch into a 3D sketch so that we can explore more about the design. Maybe me as a principal designer here, I want to explore more of the design. So I task you guys with, hey, I did some sketches, convert it to a massing model for me. So I can now further develop the design. So that's exactly what I want to do. But, you know, you guys who are a part of my team and a part of my production team, this is a task that I would ask you to do as a part of the production team, which, by the way, is in the real world. They might ask you to do that task as well. All right. All right. So as usual, I'm going to guide you through doing it. You can do it your own way or use my recommendation. Totally up to you. Now, as usual, I'll be you can ask me a question at any point. But we remember that ask questions that you would not show me that again necessarily, because you'll have the video, but ask questions maybe of something that maybe you don't understand, or why is that tool there, or you know, something that you wouldn't be able to ask if you choose to rewatch the video to do the model. All right, let's go.
Theo feels like we have human figures, so we have an idea of scale in both of these sketches. So that's usually good enough for us to get started. And these are the things that we would consider within the pre-design phase. So with that said, what we want to do is we want to start taking this into the digital realm. So we are going to use these sketches and create a massive model of our building. So luckily for us, our sketched site plan, we can get some amount of dimensions just to have an idea of the overall massing, right? And this will vary from time to time whenever we're dealing with the pre-design stage of a project, right? Some pre-design will probably only consist of a sketch. some might just even be ideas. However, in our situation, our pre-design, we have a bubble diagram, we have a site plan sketch, and we have two 3D sketch illustrations. So with that said, we have enough to create a massing model, a digital massing model. All right, so one of the first things we would do is let's start from the site. So what I'm going to do, if I look here, I have the sketches here with me. I'm just going to drag this site plan into SketchUp, and notice that I will get pretty much the exact site in my 3D viewport, which is great because I can use the dimensions that is on my sketch, and I can just at least start to get the size of my my object. So that's great. If I look at my view A, I have an idea of what this sketch should look like. And in my viewport, I can just trace to at least get the outline of what this would be like. So first thing we need to do is to go ahead and scale this sketch in my viewport. Now, one of the first things that I would try to do is I would change my toolbar. So I would go to view, toolbars, and I would change it from the getting started to the large tool set that has more tools. All right, now in order to scale this drawing, all we need to do is to use a reference measurement to do this, and I'm going to show you a easy way that you can scale this drawing in SketchUp. So all I need to do is, like this measurement here that is 87 feet, I'll just take my pencil tool and I'll just draw a line that's roughly about where that 87 feet is, and I'll just copy it. So I will go to my move tool and press Ctrl once, so I get the little plus icon there. That's that little plus icon, that means it's going to create a copy, and I'll just put another copy here. All right, now I'm going to get my dimension tool, which is this tool right here.
All right, so just giving everyone a little while to catch up. Anybody following along, you guys? How we doing, Jadmar? Jadmir?
Sorry, is this on?
Yeah, I was saying, how you doing? You following along?
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, we're gonna keep it moving.
And I'm gonna just take a dimension from here to here. So as you can see, this dimension measures 3 feet, not 87 feet. So a quick way that we can get this scaled is we're going to just use our tape tool. And here is the trick. When you use a tape tool, the default mode the tape tool is set to is to create a construction offset. So meaning that if I just click the tape tool and click this line, it's going to create a construction line. See, it goes to infinity. That's parallel to this line. Now, in this case, I don't want to create a construction line, so I'm going to press Control, and Control will toggle between creating construction line and rescaling. So when I press Control once, notice that the plus goes away. So that is with the plus. So I want the tape tool to be without the plus. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to click this point here, and I'm going to click point here. All right, we want it to be like that, and when I click the second point, I'm going to type in the measurement that I want. So I'm going to say 87 feet, and you can see it being typed down here. All right, 87 feet. I'm going to press enter. Let's do that again, from here to here, 87. Here we go. Press enter. And then it's going to be asking me, do I want to resize my model? I'm going to say yes. And now, oh, I didn't say 87 feet actually, so don't let that catch you. So let me do this again. Here to here, then 87 feet, and then enter. Yes, there we go. All right, so now when you look on the dimension, you will see that it says 87 feet, which is pretty cool. So now we have our drawing totally rescaled. Okay, so now our drawing is rescaled. So let's see if we can plan this out. So what we need to do is, if we look here at this this concept sketch here, we can see that we have this wall here that's gonna be somewhere about maybe like this, right? And this is pretty much the patio area that's there. We have this other wall that's over here. That's this wall here. So we know that we're gonna have a wall that kind of does that. And we know that all of this is open space. Then we have the main exhibition space that's gonna sit pretty much where this is. So let's say like about like that. Then we have this, you can see this, there's like a space between, which you can kind of see here. So this wall seems to like go all the way back there. So, oh, and then there's one more wall, which is this wall here. This tends to, this looks like a very tall wall. So it goes like this and comes around like that. So this is kind of the sketch that we're going for. Now, there's some other interesting things about this sketch. For example, if we look at the other view here, we can see that this is the upper floor, right? So if we look back on our bubble diagram here, you can remember that we had a lower floor and the upper floor. So this main exhibition space and patio, we can assume is the main exhibition space is pretty much here, and then the patio space is pretty much here, right? So that's what we can make out from this sketch. So what that means is that space that we sketched out is the upper floor, and then we have the lower floor. You can kind of see that there's actually a height difference. And even if we look on that initial sketch, you can see that we have some steps here. So it's like it's indicating that, you know, there are going to be maybe some steps that's going to be like that, and then another set of steps maybe on this side, which is what we're seeing from this sketch, right? And if we look at this other sketch, and this is from the other side, so this is now looking at this from this side. So you can see that this is actually raised up off the ground. As a matter of fact, you can see from here that the ground it's kind of sitting on this hill that you can see there. So on top of this hill, you have this element, and the rest of so you have the upper floor that's pretty much sitting on the top of the hill, and then the lower floor seems to be inside, right? And this is just us trying to, you know, make sense from these initial sketches. And this is what you expect from the preliminary phase. You know, it's kind of an ideation. You have an idea of what you want the building to be. We don't quite work out the rooms yet, but we have an idea of the massing. We know that we want it to be 2 floors. We know that it's going to sit on top of this mound, and the main exhibition space, which is here, is going to be on the upper floor. So with that said, let's see if we can sketch this idea. Now, one of the benefits of sketching your idea in 3D is that you get to answer some questions that you haven't answered yet with the sketches. So for example, yes, we created this sketch, but there's still some questions like what happens in this space over here, what happens under here. And a sketch is the quickest way to get an idea out of your brain, but the 3D is going to be the best way to explore that idea that initially came out of your brain. So with that said, let's see if we can start the process. So in order to get these, well, first let's put this main space that's right here. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, and before I start to draw, what I want to do is kind of align my building to the grid, because it will make it easier to draw this. So I'm going to move this model, I'm going to grab it right here. And let me grab that dimension as well. So let me grab everything, and I'm going to grab it right at this corner here, and I'm going to stick that right here. Then I'm going to use the rotate tool, and I'm going to rotate this building. I'm going to grab this edge here and rotate it like that. So that way I have at least one edge that is aligned to my axis. This makes life a little bit easier. So I'm going to put my first line here to represent the main space. I'm going to extrude that. And to know how far I'm going to extrude it, the great thing is that I have a scaled figure here, and this comes default in SketchUp. So I'm going to move this scale figure about right here. And then if you notice in the sketch, there is some scale figures. And this is going to be the important part of doing your massing model sketch. You want to try and put some scaled figures there. So now I can use my push-pull tool, and I can say, you know, from that sketch, it's probably going to be about this high. And guess what? I'm not even checking the height. I'm just doing it based on the proportion of this model here. I can also go for my dimension tool and have my dimension here. So right now this is 14 feet based off just using proportions and looking on the sketch here. So I think that's fine. All right. So now let's put in this wall that's going to be here. So what I would do to put this wall in is I would draw it rough first. So I would use my line tool and I would do this, and then I would do this. So you can see that I have my line right here, right? Now, I don't know what this angle is actually, but what I would do, I'm going to delete this, or I'm going to leave that line, and I'm going to use my rotate tool here. All right. Now, what I want to do is, usually when I'm sketching, I like to work with even numbers. So the best way to do that is, let's delete that line. I'm going to put a line here. I'm just going to make it any length. That's fine. So this is that line. I'm going to use my rotate tool, and I'm actually going to rotate this. But when I use my rotate tool this way, it snaps to different angles. Now you can see the angles down here that it's snapping to. When I move, you can see that, you know, I can see what's happening down there. All right, so I want to move this to the closest point, and I see that it's close to maybe 50. So I'm going to type 50 and press stop. So now that I know this angle is 50, and you know, even though this is a sketch, I would rather it be 50 than, you know, 49.9 something, right? That way, anything that is aligned to this, I know that it's 50 degrees. So that's a good tip that you can use whenever you are creating a sketch. All right, so a 3D sketch, that is. So I'm gonna carry this on this side. It doesn't matter how the length of it just yet. I'm just outlining this, right? And what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna grab my pencil tool, and I will just draw a line that represents here like that. All right, great. So I'm just gonna extend this line to this point. So I have a line that does that, and I can just draw in this point like right here. What I will do here is, when I select these two edges, these two lines, I will just right click and say weld edges. So that way I'm not dealing with unnecessary lines. Now, of course, with SketchUp, once you intersect two lines, this line here will become an edge. So I'm gonna delete that right there. And then I have these two edges that's going to be here, and I have another one going on right here. All right, so I pretty much have the outline of this. I may not need this line that goes across just yet, so I'm going to delete that. All right, good stuff. Now, what I want to do, I want to double click this, and I want to put this in a group. I'm going to make this into a group because I don't want it to be attached with anything else in case I draw another line. Now, what I want to do is let's put in the curve here and here. So I'm going to grab maybe this tool here, this curve tool. There are different types of curve tools that you can use, but this one I think is the most popular. And I'm going to just move the mouse here, and then notice that it changes to a purple line. This is exactly what we want. And I'm going to move this back until it turns to that purple, and click once again. So notice it creates a nice curve there. I'm going to do the same thing here. Now I'm just guesstimating where to put this curve, but what I'm looking for is for this line to turn purple, and then move this till it turns purple like that. All right, good stuff. So I'm going to delete this edge here and here. So I have this curve here, and I'm going to do the same thing here and here. So I have that curve there. So now that we have these lines, we select them and then we go to offset, and we can offset them. And what we're going to do is offset them about 1 foot, and I'm going to use the pencil tool and I'm going to close that up. Same thing on this side. There we go. Then before I do anything else, I'm going to double click this, right click, and I'm going to make it a group. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to use the offset 1 foot, then use the pencil tool, close that up here and here, and then I'm going to make that a group. All right, so now I have to extrude this. So I'm going to keep this sketch in mind. Based on the height of this, I can see that this wall is maybe a little bit taller than this, and this one looks shorter than that wall. So I'm going to just extrude that to maybe about there, and this wall here is going to be shorter, so maybe, or maybe it's going to be the same height. I don't know. Remember, this is a sketch, so we don't have to get too detailed. Then we have this wall that comes around like this.
All right, guys. Any questions so far? Anybody experiencing any trouble with SketchUp? Madeline? Da-da-da. Where is this thing here? Good? What do you say, Anthony? You good? Everything is all right? You understanding everything so far?
Yes, sir. Good.
All right, cool.
And if we look on that in plan, that's this wall here. So it kind of comes around on the edge of this. So we're going to do the same thing. It looks like it has a little curve as well. So I'm going to start, let's get out of the group. Let's go to escape to get out of the group. So I'm going to start from around here. So I'm going to use my line tool, and I'll draw a line that goes from there to maybe there. And for this one, I want to get a curve here, so I'm going to use this tool here. Wait till it turns to purple. There you go. Delete those edges. And then I'm going to offset this using my offset tool. Oops. Actually, this error that you get here that says the lines must be coplanar, what that means is that this line is actually not flat. So we need to fix that. And if I zoom in here, let's draw this line again, because that's why we're getting that error. So I'm going to draw that like that and like that. There you go. And let's put that curve in. Oh wait, it's right. It has to be perfect. This can be tricky. You have to make sure that it's flat. I think that maybe could have been the issue. All right, offset. There we go. Works fine. And we'll make that 1 foot. Get our line tool to do the same thing. Put it in a group. By the way, the shortcut to do that is G. So you can just press, not G actually. No, you have to right click for that one. G is for component. And we are going to use the push pull tool. The shortcut is P, and we're going to extrude that up. And this one is actually a little taller than that. All right, so now we have that. Now we need to get the base. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just push this drawing down on the Z axis a little bit. So remember, this is the upper floor. And then what we want to do is create a base from this. All right, so one way that we can do this is we could actually just copy this. So I'm gonna move, press M, then move this. I'm gonna press Control, so it creates a copy. Move this up on the Z. And what I'm gonna do is, by the way, when I copy this, notice that when I click one, the other one clicks. If I change something on one, the other one will change. So if I move something, the other one will move as well. So what I need to do first is right click them and say explode, and I'm going to delete the tops. That will leave the bottom, which is what I want. Then I'm going to use the line tool and just join these together. Let's keep it straight. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. And there you go. Now I have a base. I'm just deleting these inner walls. Actually, let me undo that. I think I need to be deleting the outer walls actually. We want this to sit inside the wall. All right, there we go. Now what we want to do is let's double click, make this a group. Then we're going to extrude this. Let's estimate it at about maybe 8 inches. There we go. All right, then we can put this at the base. All right, so if we take a look on our sketch, this one here, this is basically showing this. So we know we're kind of on the same page with this one. Now we have a couple things to deal with, because remember, this is the upper floor. So the ground floor is also going to have spaces, but we don't really solve that issue in the sketches. We can just see hints of the ground floor, and it looks to be kind of recessed inward. So what I would do is I would copy this, press Ctrl to copy, and that's our ground floor. And this wall floats, so we can see it floating there. And we don't know what's happening on this side. Actually, yes, that's this side here. So this side is this side here, and all of this seems to be floating above the ground. But there's a noticeable height difference between here and here, which is here. So if we look on the sketch, this is the where we have these steps. That's going to be here. But pretty much this is what we have here. Let's look back at this sketch here. Let's look at this one. There's actually some amount of thickness to this ground here, because this is quite thin. So what I would do is extend this down, and I'm just going to estimate it maybe like that. Then we're going to cut this back like this, because this seems to be a design feature. Cut this back. We want to make sure we're moving parallel. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll just copy this here, and then we will delete these and connect like that. And we'll do the same thing here, connect like that. There we go. So that way we can get that little feature here, which we can see right there. And then these walls come all the way down. So we're going to use a push-pull tool like that and like that. So that is looking a little bit more like it. All right. Based on this sketch, I think the ground floor is a little bit inset, maybe inward like that. There seems to be a little bit of an overhang based on this sketch. Right. Oh, let's not forget here. This wall here actually goes all the way down to the ground level, but not this section here. So we would need to get our pencil tool, maybe cut this here, and then extrude this all the way down to this point. Yes, I think that is it. Let's see. I'm not sure what will happen on the ground floor, but I would say let's not leave this space here. So maybe I would extend this a little bit further this way. This is just a sketch, so I'm just making this up as I go along. Now we're going to extrude this down. Yeah, I think it does something. So when we look at this sketch now here, you know, we can see that this looks a little similar like that. Now, of course, what we're missing is we need to have this on a mound, because it's showing that it's on like a little hill, as we can see here. So when we take this view like this, we should actually be seeing, you know, like a kind of a hill like that, you know, and this hill is something like that, and then this is a cantilever section there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. So now that we have our building, now we need to create this terrain based off the sketch that we have here. So what we're going to do is we're going to carry back this base up. So I'm going to move on the z-axis, and I'm going to try to place it right at this point here. There, right? So you can see where you have these terrain lines, and those would represent this hill that's going to be there. Now, because this is a sketch, we're not going to draw contour lines. We're just going to estimate where they would be, right? So what we can do is we can freehand tool, which is located here, and what we'll do with the freehand tool is we just need to trace where the edges of the terrain mound is. So I'm just going to trace that, and it doesn't matter if it's neat, we're just going to use it as a reference. All right, so there we go. So it looks something like that, right? For now, we're going to double click and put it into a group, and we're just going to move it upwards in the air. Then what we're going to do is we are going to use a new tool. So we're going to go to view toolbars, and we're going to enable the sandbox tools. You'll see a new toolbar appear up here. We are going to
Has there been anyone who tried out the sandbox tool before? Sandbox tool, anyone? In SketchUp? Because from what I understand, it's not too popular. Nobody? Ah, one person. Okay, cool. Cool. What did you use it to do? Oh, two persons. Cool. What do you use it to do, Evelyn?
What do I use to do what thing?
What you used the sandbox tool to do when you were using it?
I've not used that tool. I don't think I have that tool either, so.
You don't think you have that? Wait, it's a tool?
Yeah, the sandbox tool, I don't have it.
Oh, it's not. Which version of SketchUp are you using?
24.
Yeah, man. Just turn it on. Go to toolbars and turn it on.
Oh, okay.
Right. And one of the reasons I'm showing this is that because I find that there are a lot of little tools in SketchUp that some persons don't know about, because SketchUp is such a simple program, but it can really solve a lot of, especially when you're dealing with preliminary and schematic, the early part of designing. It can give you a nice base that's accurate for you to further now develop on, right? So sandbox tool, I want you to take a mental note that, you know, this is something that you guys can use. All right, let's continue.
Be using building our hill from scratch. So we're going to choose that. Then we are going to set our grid spacing to be 3 feet. All right. Now we are pretty much just going to draw a flat box over where the hill would be. So I'm going to start from about right here. And I'm going to go this way, like about like that. And then this way, like about that. There you go. Now, of course, that covered the illustration of the hill. And this is where this sketch that we made will come in handy. So we're going to double click. We don't need the surface. All we need is the outline. So we're going to move this back down. Make sure it's on the Z axis. So now we know exactly where that hill is for our sketch. Now, to get the hill created, right, and that we're talking about this little hill right there, we're going to double click and we are going to use the smooth tool. Notice you'll get a little radius here to illustrate where it's going to rise up. And what we want to do, maybe increase the radius of this. So right now it's 30, so let's make it about 50 feet percent up. So now it's a little bigger. And notice we can't really see the areas here, but that's okay. We can maybe go right here. And then what we're going to do is click once and move this hill upward. And you can see where it starts to create that mound up here. So we're probably going to just, go up like about that. And then we're going to do it maybe about right here. Maybe right here. Let's see. That works out. Yeah, there we go. Does this look something like that? It kind of does. We could maybe do this area here. Maybe we need to rise up here. What we'll do, we'll make this a little smaller this time. So now we'll go about 20 feet. And we're going to click here and go upwards. Remember, this is just a sketch, so it doesn't really matter. We just need something that kind of looks like it. All right, so that is basically it. Okay, so let's press escape, get out of this tool, and that's what we'll have there. Okay, now that we have this model complete, we are gonna perform a solar study. And one of the reasons we might want to do that, for example, in this case, this is going to be the main exhibition space. And one of the ideas that we have for this area that we want to explore is that we want to have an opening on this wall. So I'm just going to go into this group and draw a rectangle here. And then I'm going to just push this in a little bit just to represent the space. Because the idea is that they're going to have glass doors here. And we want to find out how is the sun going to impact this main space. And the way to do that is through a solar study. So before we go into that, let us clean this up a little bit. Now, what we want to do is let's get rid of some of these detail squares, because we only needed it to create this little hill that's here. So to do that, I'm going to go into this group, and I'm actually going to use the lasso select tool, and I'm just going to draw around, roughly just around this area here, and I'm going to go to view. No, I'm going to go to edit, and then I'm going to choose invert selection and then hit delete, and that's going to delete a lot of the excess details that we don't need. And I can even go in and maybe try and trim this up some more, maybe like that. Right, now this doesn't have to be neat. What we're trying to do is to just ease the pressure from the computer, because what's happening is that because of all of these squares, this area, this model becomes a little heavy. So we want to just lighten that load by getting rid of some of these details here. There we go. All right, so now that we have this done, we want to just save this. Don't forget to save as you go along. Now the next thing we want to do, we don't want to represent all of these line work that's here. Ideally we would want to have a nice smooth terrain surface. So to do that, what we want to do is, while we're in the group with the terrain, we're going to do Control A, and Control A will select everything. Then what we want to do is right click and say select. Under the select menu, we want to say deselect all faces. So that would mean we would just be left with the selection of the edges. And then we want to right click again and say hide. And what this will do is hide all of the edges and just leave us with the faces. There we go. And that gives us a little more smooth representation. Okay, let's also, we can get rid of this dimension here, but we don't need it. There we go. And we can get rid of this one here that we used as a reference earlier, this floating line. So we're just trying to clean this up a little bit. There we go. All right. So now we want to do a solar study. And to do this, we can actually use this version of SketchUp. I'm using 2024, or we can do this using the online version, whichever one, it will work. And what we want to do is go to File, and then we want to go to add location. Now when we go to add location, depending on the version of SketchUp you have, it might prompt you to update. If for any reason your add location does not work, then what you can do is head over to Google, and you can just type here SketchUp web app, and usually it's the first one that pops up. And it will prompt you to sign in. You can just sign in for free. Just use your Google account and sign in. Once you sign in, you'll come to this page and you can actually open your SketchUp model here. I can go to open from device here, and I can actually browse to where I have my model stored, and it will upload it and open the model. So this is the model now open in the browser. Then I can go to here and just, that's a little hamburger menu right there, and I can just go to add location, and I will get the same prompt that comes up here. So I'm going to be using the local version in SketchUp. Now for add location, in order to geolocate your model to get accurate shadows, you want to put in the address that we have here, right? Now, because this whole process is really a simulation, this project actually exists already, so we know where the site is, and the site is going to be at Museum Drive, West Kowloon, Hong Kong, right? So this is where the site is, Museum Drive, West Kowloon, Hong Kong. So we type that in, and then we choose the closest thing that matches that. So we're going to choose here Museum Drive, Hong Kong. All right, then we need to kind of zoom out a little bit. Then we need to find where it is, and here it is right here. So what we need to do is we need to grab this location and we need to place it here. Then we need to rotate our norths. So we want to, we want to get as precise as possible. There we go. And notice that our massing model pretty much lines up with the completed building, which is pretty good. So once we have that, we're going to choose get geolocation, and once we do that, now our building is geolocated, so we can actually close this now. So what that means for us is that we will now get accurate shadows whenever we enable shadows. So now we want to go to our default tray, and we want to minimize this. Let's open up shadows, and if we look up Hong Kong time zone, we can see that Hong Kong time zone is UTC plus 800, right? That's the offset. So we need that to get accurate shadows. And let's say that we want to be about we can use in February. Let's enable shadows. So from our investigation here, we can see that from 7 o'clock going all the way till noon, we pretty much are going to get light coming all the way inside. And whether that's a good thing or bad thing, that depends on the design that you want. Sometimes we might want to have natural light, so maybe the design will have something that can control the flow of light. But we know that in the morning time, we will definitely be getting a flood of light pretty much throughout the year. If we come closer to summer, then you notice that we only get light coming in not as deep. And then when we go back into winter, in the early morning, you can see that we get that light coming in, right? So that is some really useful information when it comes to working out your designs. And this is why we do solar studies. So we want to turn off this option here that says on the ground, so that we will only get our shadows on the ground. Now, in our project, this is the main area that we are concerned about as it relates to lighting, because this is our main museum space. So this is what we would use as the proof of concept. So at this pre-design stage, we have already determined, using this massing model and moving forward with this design, we have an idea of what our natural lighting situation will be in the most important space of the building. Now from here, what you might want to do is to communicate this information to your clients. For a type of building like this, your clients might be very interested in how natural light will affect the space, and you might want to show them this. So the best way to show a solar study is to have snapshots of your building being affected by light at different times of the day. So in order to take those snapshots, the best way to do that is to make use of the layout feature in SketchUp. So to do that, what we're going to do is we are going to go into our styles, and we are going to, let's pick a style that we can use. So let's try the hidden line version, which is good. Now what we want to do is let's turn off our axis. So to do that, we're going to go over to edit. We're going to go over to modeling settings, turn off model axis, so we don't have that there. And let's turn off most of these guides. We don't need those. This line here represents where our north is, so we can ignore that for now. If we head over to edges, we can let it look a little bit less harsh. Maybe we can do some extensions, add some endpoints, and maybe add some profiles. So maybe the profiles can be a little thicker. There we go. All right, and that, I think that is fine. Now what I want to do is to take an ideal view. So let's say that we want to show a view maybe like this, that can clearly show what's happening with the sun. And let's go back to shadows, and we can kind of, let's go more on the early part of the year, since that's where we are, and we can kind of see if this communicates what we want. So when we have a view like this, all we need to do is save this scene. So under scenes, I'm going to hit the little plus, and we're going to save this as a new style. Choose save. All right, that's it. Now we go to file, and we go to send to layout. It says your model must be saved first. Do you want to save? Yes. So we save the model, then layout pops up and asks us what sheet size do we want to use. We want to choose, let's choose tabloid landscape. All right, now the view opens here, and what we want to do is we want to make this a little smaller, like about that maybe. And then we want to have maybe about 3 different versions. So we're going to copy this, paste this again, and then we're going to paste it one more time. There we go. So now we have 3 versions that's set up. And what we can do now is have these at different times. So we select this first one here, and we go under the SketchUp model, and we can have this at, this one is at 9. So we're going to change that to 0. Change this to 9. There we go. This one could maybe be at 11, and then maybe this one could be at 3 p.m. There we go. So we have quickly created a solar study. Now, this might be a part of a presentation to the client. It might go on the sheets, but this is a quick way that you can do a solar study by sending it to layout. And what I'll do is I'll just save this layout file, and it's going to ask me to save it. I'm going to say solar study. There you go. I might want to put some text, so I can choose the text tool and let's draw a box there. And I can say 9 a.m. and I can select that, and I can go under text styles and choose a bigger style, maybe make it bold. There you go. And I can probably center it, Control C, Control V, and paste it one more time. There we go. And this one here was 3 p.m. and this was 11 a.m. All right, save. And now what I can do is export this. I can export it as an image or as a PDF. So I'm going to choose PDF, and that's it. Now you might get some options. I'm just going to leave everything as default and say export. Now you might notice that the model might look a little bit jagged in the viewport, but when you view the actual PDF, it will be pretty sharp. So this is an example of doing a quick solar study from your massing model. Now this represented a part of what we would do in pre-design, right? Things like sketching, doing massing models, doing solar studies, and this at this stage of the design, this is where we would explore these things. Now, what we're going to do next is move into our schematic design and design development. So this is where now you take all your sketches, all your massing models, and you show it to your client approves it. You continue to the next stage, which is going to be schematic designs, and that is where you start to look through, you start to develop your model into much more detail. You know, what does your elevation look like, right? Because right now everything is just massing, right? We start to more accurately represent what's the layout of the furniture going to look like, right? And start to generate the preliminary plans. So this concludes the pre-design segment of our journey.
All right, guys. So that's going to be us for today, all right?
Sir, question. Is there a submission for it, or should post on mirror board?
For this one, when you look on the website, where is it? Here we go. Right. So remember, we are going to be collecting this project near to the end of the semester. However, there are going to be checkpoints throughout, right? Remember, that's when you get the bonus marks, right? So one of the first checkpoint is going to be the solar study, right? So you're going to finish the solar study before you go off on study tour, because essentially this is something that you can do in like half an hour, guys. Like you can literally do it during this class, because what's going to happen when you finish the class, I'm going to just upload the recording and you'll have it same time, and then you can just like finish it today during class time, right? And you upload that in Target One, secure your percentage towards participation, or on-time participation as I call it, right? So this is where the submission will be, and after this I am going to be taking your ideas for your pre-design, and I'm going to be doing the next phase. The next phase of this is going to be schematic design, and I'm going to be doing the schematic design, and then I'm going to give it back to you guys so you can continue towards design development. All right, but we'll be doing this when you come back from study tour. Right, when you come back from study tour, I believe we'll do that. For right now, we're just finishing the pre-design phase, and for that you would submit that floor plan, and you would submit that the massing study. All right, guys. So that is where your submission will be. Now, remember, at the end, when you submit your major project, remember the whole project is like 60%, right? It's divided into individual and collaborative, each valuing 30%. So together it values 60%. You submit this at the end of the semester, and that's when you get your 60% grade, right? So the solar study is going to actually be a part of your submission, right? So it's going to be in the big submission. But these are some checkpoints. If you hit these targets, guys, you have nothing to worry about. Cool? You have nothing to worry about. And the way that the course is laid up, it is spread out, I believe, with enough leeway, because things happen, maybe studio presentation get delayed, or I don't know, some drama will happen, because it always does. That is also taken into consideration as well. So all you have to do is try as much as possible to hit these targets, collect your extra marks, and then you will be in a position to just submit the work at the end of the semester. All right, guys. All right, so that's going to be it. That's going to be it for class today. I want you guys to just wrap up. Oh, I see more persons have submitted the stuff on the mirror board. That's great. I'm not gonna go through it now, because I want you guys to finish up the solar study to make sure you just get this out of the way. All right. We meet back later this evening to talk. We're gonna talk about the theory assignment when you come back later. All right. We'll have more.
Later is at 5, right?
It is at 6 according to, because on my timetable is at 5, but what I'm hearing, and I think you guys have the latest timetable, which is at 6.
Okay, sir.
Right, so it should be at 6. So I'll see you guys at 6. Please use the rest of the time to finish up the massing model and just submit it. All right, guys. All right.
Sir.
All right, bye. Take care.